Good evening, Women's Entrepreneur Network members, aka WEN members. This is Joe DiChara, entrepreneur, business coach with a CPA license. And tonight I have a special treat for you. You know, the name of the show is called Success During COVID/19 and Beyond. And I might actually be changing that again. So I might have to spend more money on a new graphic. Haley Gray, Irene Pro, if you're listening to this, I'm probably, one of your best customers because I just can't make up my mind sometimes. But here's the deal, people. I've been ranting, discussing, advising all of this time, the last month, about, COVID 19 SBA unemployment, all of these things that have really gotten in the way of what I really want to do, which is help people start, build, manage a small business and stay in business. Haley Gray has the saying, start a business and stay in business. And I love that because, the truth is that small businesses are at a major disadvantage. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. There's this organization called the Small Business Administration, and they're supposed to be helping us, the small business owner. But here's the fact. The fact is that there's over 30 million businesses in the United States. 25 million of them are still classified as sole proprietors. And for my friends north of the border in Canada, if I don't know what your rules are, what your lingo is for people that are the micro businesses, the smallest of small businesses. But when you start a business, when anybody starts a business in the United States, we are automatically classified as a sole proprietor. It's a legal classification that nobody has a choice over. It's automatic. So when you start doing business, you come under the jurisdiction of the Internal Revenue Service. And again, if you're in Canada, I don't know what you call it, but it's the same thing. You have a taxing authority that we have to answer to. And part of that is doing things like keeping books and records, applying for licenses and registrations. So once you go into business, even if you're not in business formally, and sometimes I like to call them the accidental business owner, people that are in business and don't even really realize it. And I hope you heard me during all of that time because I didn't have my mic next to me. But the fact of the matter is that out of 30 million businesses, that's a lot of businesses, 25 million are still unincorporated sole proprietors. And, if you follow me, you know that I part of my teaching, part of my program is to educate people that being a sole proprietor is absolutely the worst way to do business. But you don't have a choice when you first start out. So why do so many people stay as sole proprietors? Well, that's a whole nother story, which I'll get into it at another time. But the fact remains that the smallest of small businesses are 25 out of 30. That's a pretty large percentage. Add to that the few million of us, like myself, who are considered solopreneurs. Now, a solopreneur, somebody like myself, is incorporated, has a formal legal business structure. In other words, we have taken a step above being a sole proprietor, but the only one I employ is myself. That's a valid business model in today's economy. You know, it used to be you started a business to become a gazillionaire. Anyway, that's what I decided to do when I was 10 years old. You know, I had visions of industries, and I was going to be like Andrew Carnegie and Bill Gates. I don't even know if Bill Gates existed then. But the fact is that what was instilled in me at an early age was the fact that in America and anywhere for that matter, but we are capable of doing anything that we put our minds to. And first I thought it was only in America, but now, people like Napoleon Hill taught me that it's everywhere. It doesn't matter where you are. But the fact is that when I thought about starting a business, it was going to be massive. Fast forward to today's world, and there are different reasons for starting a business. A lot of it has to do with lifestyle. I chose to do my business as a solopreneur because I saw how other accounting firms were built, and I wanted no part of that. It was massive volume, and I'm talking about the large firms. You had to have a lot of clients, you had to have a big staff, and you had to work 90 to 100 hours a week. That's what I saw in my industry, and I said I want no part of that. So I created a business that was lean and mean, low overhead, and if I need help, I hire subcontractors. That is the new business model. So people start out, yes, Heidi, you can book a chat with me. So Heidi said, so I guess I need to rethink my s-corp. Yes, if you're a sole proprietor, book a chat with me, and I will tell you the pros and the cons, and the pros far outweigh the cons. So getting back to my purpose here. So in today's world, the vast majority of us are either solopreneurs and or sole proprietors, the tiniest of small businesses. So that's 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 businesses have one employee or less. The Small Business Administration calls those non-employer firms. Now, up until a year ago, I didn't realize that what they meant by non-employer firms were sole proprietors. Now, why they didn't just say sole proprietors is another issue, which has to do with the smoke and mirrors that I believe that they play with the numbers and with the public image and all of that. But the fact remains that 9 out of 10 businesses in the U.S. are what we call micro businesses. They have less than 2 employees. Well, about 25 years ago, I started doing small business loans, the SBA 7A business loans, and I thought it was the thing. I thought it was great because I can get my small business clients loans that were through the SBA, which were 90% guaranteed, so the banks would take them. I didn't realize all the hoops you had to jump through. So long story short, I looked up what the SBA's definition was of a small business, because I said if I'm going to be helping small businesses, I want to know What's my market? And I was shocked to find out that a small business, according to the Small Business Administration, is any business with less than 500 employees. Now, I don't know about you. I mean, I've been in accounting for over 35 years. And if we, as any of the firms I worked with and on my own, if we had a client that had more than 50 employees, that was a pretty big company. So it dawned on me that that didn't really make sense. It didn't make sense. And today, people, makes even less sense than ever. So one thing that we need to do is separate the small businesses, the non-employer firms, the people like myself with less than 2 employees, away from all those other businesses, to have a real small business administration. Because the SBA is not for small businesses. It is for businesses. And the proof is in the pudding, by what just went on. And I said I wasn't going to get into the whole COVID-19, but I found out today that the Paycheck Protection Program has already run out of money. Well, there's plenty of businesses that have plenty of employees that got money. I've applied for some of my clients that had 10, 15 employees that it made sense for, and they didn't even get to submit the application. So the point is here, and I'm going off tangent again, but the point is that when people start a small business, we are at a huge disadvantage. And it's important to know why. And I'll tell you why, since you asked. The reason why, and this number is going to shock you, but it's the truth. The reason why over 98% of new businesses fail. That's right, 98%. Forget about the numbers that they tell you. 98% or more of new businesses fail because the system is too damn complicated. It's complicated and it's confusing. Even for somebody like me, I've been in business, forget about the CPA license. I've been in business since I was 10 years old. You know, when I was 10 and I ran a casino in my driveway, which my parents shut me down after one successful night, which I'll never forgive them for, but it was simple. It was simple all the way to when I was 21, the semester before I graduated, I ran an ice cream truck business. That's right. I didn't just drive an ice cream truck. I leased an ice cream truck with the intention of running it like my first business. See, everything else, I didn't realize I was actually in business. It was just I was making money. But I was, by definition, the accidental small business owner. I was in business, but I really didn't know it. I thought I was just earning extra money. But all the things I did, from mowing lawns to selling ice cream to running the illegal casino, they were all businesses. Now, if I had known that I was in a small business and I needed to hire an accountant and maybe a lawyer, and I would have had to been subject to all of these compliance rules, I don't know what I would have done. But the truth is, people, the truth is that I became a CPA because my father tricked me into it when I was 17. He said that CPAs run businesses. I didn't know that meant I was going to become an accountant. And so 6 months into my accounting career, I get a notice. I'm at a CPA firm. I get a notice from New York State with a big red sticker on it that said tax warrant. And my life flashed before my eyes. No kidding. I still get shivers thinking about it uh, because I thought my whole career was over. I said, what in the world did I do with that ice cream truck that I would have got myself into so much damn trouble? And I was thinking, all the money that I saved to start my career, I was going to have to hire a tax attorney. I mean, these were real fears from one little letter. And I didn't sleep for three nights, wondering how I was going to fix this. And then it dawned on me that I was in an accounting firm. And I was embarrassed, but I went to one of the accountants and I said, what is this? What kind of trouble am I in? And he suggested that I just call the number on the notice. And it turned out that when I registered with to lease the truck, they didn't make me, but part of it was that I had to register as a sales tax vendor. I didn't know what that meant. I mean, I was a businessman. I was going to be an accountant, so I saved all the records. And it turns out it doesn't matter if you just save the records. You're supposed to read the instructions, but who reads those? I mean, who reads all that stuff? It was like Greek to me. And if you're Greek, I'm not saying anything bad about Greek. Let's just say it was like Latin. So what happened is they give you what they call a certificate of authority, and all they're expecting a form. They're expecting a form for you to report your sales. Well, it turned out all I had to do was send in the form with the certificate of authority saying I'm no longer in business. Case closed. I didn't have to pay any fine. I didn't have to hire a tax attorney. But in that moment, I'll never forget it. I realized that being in business is not that simple. It's not going to be the piece of cake I thought it would be. It's not as easy as inviting your friends over when you're 10 years old and running a casino in your driveway. It's not as easy as just selling ice cream to kids on a beach on a beautiful summer day and making money and thinking this is going to be a piece of cake. It's not that simple, people. And it's not that simple by design because we have the government, and I don't care what government it is, breathing that down our neck from day one, whether you know it or not. So, what my mission is, what it's become, has been to help new prospective business owners navigate the obstacles, the gauntlet of government compliance to get their business on track and stay on track. So I call this my MAP success business. Okay, because I am offering a roadmap to success for your business. And that's what I want to start presenting here tonight. And one of my superpowers is to be able to take these concepts and make it as simple as possible so that people don't get caught up in all the government compliance complexities. That stuff is for me on the accounting end. Okay. Unfortunately, if you're in business, you need to have a trusted advisor. I'm not talking about your Uncle Harry who used to be in business 50 years ago. You need to have a business accountant. And I'm not just saying that to pitch my services. Because since I got that letter, what was that? Over 40 years ago. 40 years ago, I got that letter when I first started in accounting. Ever since then, I have been unraveling the problems that small business owners get themselves into, not because they wanted to, because that's the way the system was designed. It's designed to allow us to fail, but we fail for the wrong reasons, folks. So my mission has become to make business simple and to create an affordable, simple system for people to not get overwhelmed, to have step-by-step processes so that they could see the clear picture to doing business and to realize the goals, to meet the objectives of why they started the business in the first place. You know, it's heartbreaking. It's been heartbreaking for my whole career, seeing good people working their tails off with families, trying to put food on the table, trying to build a business and just hitting a brick wall time and time again. Because the truth is that only a small percentage of those 2% of new businesses that do make it, only a small percentage get even up to 2 employees. And a smaller percentage get to 5. And then a smaller percentage get to 25. So how could the SBA be talking about a business up to 500 as being small? I'm sorry, but that's not small. 50 employees isn't small. 30 employees isn't small. And in my humble opinion, a small business is 25 or less. And once you've gone beyond 10, you've survived the gauntlet. You get up to 10 employees, you're established. The chances of going out of business at that point go down to infinitesimal. So when you hear all of these statistics about business failures from the SBA, let's start with them. They claim that up to 50% of businesses fail in the first 5 years. That is hogwash. Because if you do the math, people, we get 3 million new businesses every year. And 3 million businesses fail. Which are the businesses that fail? They're not the businesses up in the top. They are the micro businesses that are failing. When a large business fails, it's because of those reasons that they talk about. Lack of capital, lack of leadership, all of those reasons. But the reasons why the micro businesses fail is a whole different story. You see, micro businesses have a whole different set of rules. And they didn't teach me that in CPA school. And they didn't teach me those rules in 25 years in accounting. Where I learned that there were a whole nother set of rules was when I started studying people like Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich and the Law of Success. And The Science of Getting Rich, which was written in 1907 by Wallace. If you're not familiar with The Science of Getting Rich, it was the book that led to the movie The Secret. But The Secret, which it turns out it is no secret, it's been available to people throughout history. And Napoleon Hill basically said that this should be a course in school. And why it isn't is a whole nother story. But you can read Napoleon Hill's Outwitting the Devil if you want to know, if you really want to know. So in April 2007, no, I'm sorry, April 7th, 2010, it was a little over 10 years ago, I wrote out what Napoleon Hill called a definite chief aim. And that little 3-paragraph statement defined how I was going to achieve success. And part of it was teaching these principles. My road to success is dependent on me teaching you these principles. And before this pandemic, my whole objective in doing these programs was to teach the principles that I learned. So I learned a lot of these principles out of the books and listening to them. And I still listen to them, and I read them. And one of my friends, Leslie Ann Flowers, she's a Napoleon Hill student, and she created her own set of principles and a mastermind program. And that's what I've done. I've created my own set of principles based on those teachings. And what I want to present to you starting tonight is my own interpretation of how I've become successful. And I want to bring you back to the question Napoleon Hill asked Andrew Carnegie that spurred the entire revolution of the coaching industry, all of this stuff, Tony Robbins, Andrew Carnegie started this all when he challenged Napoleon Hill to take his philosophy of success and do what he did. But again, I'm getting off track. I'm good at that. But the fact is that this is what Napoleon Hill asked Andrew Carnegie. To what do you attribute your success? What do you attribute your success to? And Andrew Carnegie looked at him, and this is what he said. How do you define success? Interesting question. How do you define success? And Napoleon Hill's answer was, well, most people define success by money. By money. And I came to learn that that's not what success is. It's a measurement of success, but just because you don't have money does not mean that you're not successful. Just look up Mahatma Gandhi and Mother Teresa. They didn't have any money. Would you consider them successful? Nelson Mandela. I mean, I can go on and on. Money, wealth, is only one measurement of success. What I learned is that success is, for me, and success can only be defined by you. For me, it was getting out of the ball and chain of being a CPA, stuck in a cubicle doing tax returns and working 70, 80 hours a week and not being able to spend time with my children. It didn't matter how much money I made. If I didn't get to spend the time with my family, I would be a failure. And I didn't know what I know today. And what I did, as any typical entrepreneur would do, was I had my priorities and I wanted to be part of my kids growing up. And I made financial sacrifices. Okay? I did crazy entrepreneurial things to get out of working at 9 to 5 as a CPA. And some of those things I regret, like any entrepreneur does when we do things that affect other people. but I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't change a thing because I have those memories. I have pictures to prove it. And my kids thank me for it today. My ex-wife still isn't too happy about it. But looking back, having that time and that joy that I can still remember would have been a heck of a lot easier if I had a lot of money. And I learned that. I learned that from the science of getting rich. It's much easier to be happy when you have a lot of money. And that's the first lesson here, people, because it doesn't start with your balance sheet. That's part of it. It starts with your mindset. It starts with how you think. Today I am successful. I don't have millions of dollars. I don't own a lot of things. I want a lot of things. I want a lot of money. But I'm successful today because I can go and do whatever I want whenever I want. I don't have to call up a boss and ask for time off. I am free. I'm free today. I'm free to start whatever business I want, to teach whoever I want. And that to me is success. That is success. Now it's time to make all the money. And that's in my plans. Okay, that's part of my definite chief aim. Because what I learned, people, and what I want to convey to you is that money is a result of doing things a certain way. That's what Wallace said in The Science of Getting Rich. If you do things in a certain way, you have to get rich. If you do things in a certain way that's meant to give more value than you get in dollars, what you're doing is you're expanding the universe. You're putting out positive energy. And when you do that, it comes back to you. You see, because Napoleon Hill said that our brains are like radio transmitters. We send out vibrations, we send out these thoughts, and we receive thoughts. And what Wattles said was the thoughts that you put out there come back. People call that the law of attraction. I don't care what you call it, but it works. It works, and I can prove it. I've documented it. I've written out my definite chief aim. And one of the things I wrote in there, and I didn't know how the heck I was going to do it, is that I was going to teach these principles to millions of people. I was going to teach these principles to millions of people. And how I was going to do that, that's the second paragraph. How I was going to do that is exactly what I'm doing now. I was going to talk about it. I was going to write about it, and I was going to do it. I was going to help small business owners every chance I got, no matter how much I was getting paid. Because what they taught me was that if I do this, the result will be that. Now, I wasn't a speaker. I hadn't written anything 10 years ago. Now I'm a best-selling author. I have tons of articles, ebooks. I've written several books. I'm in the middle of writing several thousand more. I've spoken on stages. I didn't think about how it was going to happen. I just put it down in writing, which is what Napoleon Hill said, followed his instructions. He said, just put it down and the universe will conspire to make it happen. And long story short, I find myself on Facebook Lives, able to reach millions of people. I have books on being sold on Amazon that can reach millions of people. And I thought about this one day and I said, oh my God, how did this happen? Everything I wrote in that definite chief aim 10 years ago, it's happening. The universe conspired to put me in this position. I met Haley Gray about in October. It wasn't by accident. It wasn't by accident that she asked me to do a 5-day challenge. Actually, I think I asked her, but forget the details. The fact of the matter is that I am on Facebook Lives constantly now, able to reach millions of people. I have started getting clients. People are following me. And despite the fact that I expected it, I believed it, looking back, it still amazes me. And this is what I plan on teaching everybody that I can. So I have about 15 minutes left, and I want to leave you with some practical things that you can do. And I've talked about this a number of times, but now I want to do it formally. There's 3 questions you have to ask yourself when you start a business. And if you can't answer these 3 questions, you're not ready to really go full steam into business. And it's really pretty simple. But most business owners can't answer them precisely. And the more precise you get, the better your chances of being successful. So here's the first thing. What problem do you solve? What problem do you solve? It's simple, because if you're not solving a problem, you're not selling anything. The problem that you solve could be helping people figure out where to go on vacation. But the fact that they don't know is a problem. A problem could be figuring out what color car you need to buy. It doesn't matter what the problem is, but you got to find a problem that you're solving. Otherwise, you're going to have a hard time selling it. Question number 2. Who do you solve it for? You could be selling water or skincare products. And you could say, well, everybody needs water, and anybody that has skin needs my product. Well, you're going to have a hard time selling it to everybody. The truth is that people drink water or buy water for different reasons. An athlete uses water for one purpose. Somebody who wants to lose weight might drink 10 gallons of water a day. I don't know. It doesn't matter, but it goes to why are people buying this? They're buying it because they have some sort of situation that they need solved. So the question number 2 is, who are you solving this problem for? And question number 3 is how. How do you solve it? 3 simple questions that if you could answer those, and the more precisely you can answer those, the greater your chances for success go up. Okay, it's 3 simple questions. What I suggest is that if you want to be successful and you want to follow my direction, which you're getting here for free, all you got to do is tune in every Thursday at 8 o'clock. And if you can't tune in, just save the video in the Facebook Live and watch it later while you're, in the stay-at-home mode, and you will get on the path to success. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. The same way Wallace Wattles guaranteed that you will become successful if you follow his principles. Now, the difference between me and Wallace is that I'm going to give you practical, pragmatic steps that have to do with doing business in the United States in 2020. Okay, Napoleon Hill, Wallace Wattles had the blueprints. I'm going to give you the nuts and bolts. They had the blueprints. In fact, if you want the blueprints for free, you can go to my site. I'm going to put it in the chat box here. It's Bedrock Business Builders. And what you're going to do is, you might have to scroll down a little, but you're going to see a button there that says, how to get rich. And you can download The Science of Getting Rich and Napoleon Hill's first publication, which was Law of Success. The Law of Success. He wrote that way before he wrote Think and Grow Rich. They're in the public domain, so I'm not breaking any kind of copyright laws. You're going to see my name, my logo on there, but they are the authors. So you can read those, and then you can get the practical nuts and bolts of what I do and how I take my coaching clients through this program, which I call Mapping Your Business to Success. See, you can have a destination in mind, and that's what a definite chief aim is. You can have a destination in mind, but you still need the roadmap to get there. And that's what I'm providing. I'm providing the roadmap to help you get to your destination. And we still got a couple of minutes. What I'd like to do is invite you to, you can ask any questions, put them in the chat box. I will come back and look at them. If you want to contact me directly, you can go to timewithjoe.com, and I will put that in the chat box as well. And I am offering a free 15-minute chat, a laser-focused chat with me on how you can get on the road. Okay, I can show you how to get on the road, and the rest is up to you. You got to follow the directions. I like to leave you with this. When I was in college, we used to like to go on road trips. It was a destination to nowhere. And it was a lot of fun because we had no responsibilities and it didn't matter. And unfortunately, when people go into business today, they wind up on a road trip because they don't give any thought to where they really want to go. And just making money isn't the destination. Like I said, making money is the result of doing things a certain way. My name is Joe DiChiara. I am a business coach with a CPA license. Thank you for your time. God bless you, and over and out.